In today's video, we're going to talk about practice planning whenever you're running out of time before your first game. I didn't know how else to say it. It's kind of a weird title, but here we go. Hey, what's going on YouTube? Mr. Football here today. Today we're going to talk about practice planning, and we're going to take it back to, we're going to more or less talk about youth football practice planning, because I've dealt with this a little bit, and I'm going to have more topics probably coming in the future on this, but because of the complications that COVID-19 has put on football and put on restrictions as far as like maybe when you might be even getting to practice and for how long, not just for really how long, but more or less, especially if you're running out of time. We've been in our football team, we were shut down for about 10 days in total, and and we have a game coming up very soon, so that's going to act, ultimately, how do you get in, your base offense and base defensive stuff? How do you have the time to do all that? You don't have to practice more. You've just got to be efficient with your time. So that's what I really encourage a lot of young coaches, a lot of youth coaches to do. Coaches that don't have a lot of experience in this. The world we live in right now, as of 2020 exists, has some very difficult things that, it is done as far as like in order for our preparation. So when I was a young football coach back in 2014, it's been that long, it feels like, which was, 6 years ago, but I started out as a youth football coach. I coached a 5th and 6th grade team. We had about 35 kids on the team when we kind of first started out and had them signed up. And when the first day of practice that I had, we're going to go through this practice plan that I had, and we basically had about a week till we played. And so I had to, as a brand new coach, had to go in and teach them an all new offensive system, all new defense. They were young kids, so they really weren't exposed to much football, so it wasn't like you're trying to force these kids into something that they were different from doing. But it was a change. I was I was their coach. I was going to have to, install my philosophies and so forth in a short amount of time. How do you do that? Well, I just want to go through my first week as a coach, way back when, and just kind of talk about, reflect, maybe give you guys some ideas, especially some of you youth coaches out there. Maybe give you some ideas, especially with what we're dealing with today. Might be, it might give you a little bit of an insight on maybe how to get your game plan in. Just a preference on some of this stuff. We didn't have any special teams, so we were only worried about offense and defense during practice and just teaching the kids, the basic fundamentals of football, blocking, proper tackling, and then just how to, play their position. And I had 3 volunteer assistant coaches who were basically parents of some of the kids that helped out and were a huge help in making practice go very smoothly. So I want to talk about that today. We're going to jump into the cards here that I've saved, and I'm actually amazed that I've saved these. And they've actually, made, a move going from different schools. These have survived time, so I'm actually going to probably keep these around forever. Just because it's just a fun thing to throw back to. And we won't go through all this because, it's an entire year's worth of practice plan or an entire season's worth, but we may spend another time on that in a later video. All right, so here we go. So this is back. This would have been August 27th of 2014. As you can see, this is my practice plan. The only thing that you're really going to get out of this practice plan is that, we're going to see, what we did at each individual period that I had. I'm going to be reading these upside down just so you guys can see them. But as you can see, these are ancient, and I'm really surprised as a young football coach back then that I actually kept every single one of these. But what I would do is after I was done, I would take it home, put it in my billfold or somewhere close where I would take it to school the next day, And I just kept these in my desk drawer at school where I worked. And, and after my last class left, I would write out my practice plan or would kind of do it, in between classes or, at lunch. And so I had time, to kind of write this down. And I think it's important to have a practice plan, especially, in today's, the way things are. You just need to make sure you have a practice plan. That's just something that, everybody needs to do. So let's start with the first day. Now, I had met the kids before. We had passed out equipment and so forth. But this was the first day of practice. So the funny thing was, the kids were in another town. They would be bussed over to the high school where I was waiting for them, and they would arrive at 3:15 or so. That's when school would let out. They would be up there, and then the kids would essentially walk up to the football field. There was a little shed where they got dressed. I'll try to throw in pictures of what this looked like. It was amazing. Some really riveting facilities there that we had, but it was all we had. It's amazing where it's gone today even. But regardless, so we somewhere around 3:30 we would get a start, and with a warm up, all we would do would just be kind of like 5 to 6 lines of kids going through like high knees, different types of warm-up stretches. 3:35, right at, so in between 5 minutes, we were just looking at throwing and catching, trying to find quarterbacks, trying to find kids that could catch. I think I had every kid in there catching, so, even the linemen, the kids that were destined to be linemen were in there. After that, water breaks. You notice that how we spaced out our water breaks. Individual skill, so we tried to pair the kids up, and as you can see here, the line was going to work on stance, and then we had essentially 2 groups. We had a line group and a back group, and so we were going to work on ball carrying, and I think all we did was I had the quarterbacks. We just worked on just mesh and so forth, and you see we did that for 10 minutes. Went to a water break, then we did tackling, okay. And so we spent 10 minutes on tackling, talk about the importance of tackling. Still do that today. It's like first day things. Then we jumped into defensive pursuit. I don't know why I did defensive pursuit then. I would have preferred to do that at the end. But then we did then we had an offensive install. So we actually we were putting in the pistol diamond offense then. But yeah, after 4:25, I'm really not sure if we did anything else after that. That may have been it. We might have went for an hour and a half, but it probably took us some time that was probably the last thing we really did realistically and got out of those kids. The next day, which I have 2 of these for the 28th, but I think this is the more detailed one. You can see I checked these off here. And so I guess all of that day was just an offensive day, because this day has defensive stuff. So second day of practice, they arrived, got their warm up. We did more throwing and catching. We still had all players involved there, still working on that. And then oddly enough, did, some different times here, just kind of throwing it off, but, got the water breaks and so forth. Just make sure you're putting in plenty of water breaks in between. I liked, in between everything we would do, we were doing that. Defensive pursuit. Couldn't tell you why I was putting pursuit that early into practice. I would have preferred that at the end if I'm just doing that now, but I kind of do things differently now with pursuit. We were a 4-4 defense. It's kind of molded for what my 4-2-5 is today, but it was kind of something specific we had to do back then. We were head up 4s, head up 2s. You couldn't cover the center and so forth, so you couldn't play in the A gap. Weird league we were in. Individual skill defense, what I would call indie now. Kids are in their individual groups. We had 3 groups of defense. We had a defensive line group, a linebackers group, and then a corner and safety group. I always took that group. I felt like I don't know. I think I felt like I needed to coach those guys just to be good on the pass coverage end of it. Individual skill offense. Got a little bit of offense in that day. And then it just said quick water break. On the back here, we got some more. More offensive install. We're probably putting in our first thing there. First couple plays, tackling. After practice, I think this is just like notes that I had. Give out game schedules, practice schedules, leaving gear first. I don't know what that means. And then I had like I don't know what I was writing here, but I don't know if it was like I'm just like grading out what they were like. I don't know. Quarterback was okay. Running back, okay. O-line was great. And then D-line was great. And it was okay. I don't know why I did that. That's funny. Anyway, so we're probably on to Wednesday here. Players arrive. Warm up. What does that say? Offensive skill. Okay. So, we're spending about 10 minutes of time. Offensive install, we're putting in plays. I don't have anything specific on like what exactly we're putting in. Got your water breaks. Defensive skill, defensive install, we're probably putting in the base coverages here. Interesting thing here, had a little note on the back. Need to find out what time we leave on the bus. So I think that was just notes maybe from that I had. Here we go, got some more stuff here. Game-like situations, that's interesting. So we worked on game-like situations. I don't know. I actually think I remember this. I think what we did was we just worked on getting the kids in the huddle and calling a play, running the play, and just trying to get into what football's like. So we were trying to make it game-like for them. We were just in helmets. So we're just kind of working on that kind of stuff. Worked on more tackling. We were out by 5. Talking about practice next week, going full pads. Kids are always excited to go full pads. Water, hydration, injuries. Last day for equipment. I think I was still passing out equipment then. So that's good stuff. I like the note there. That sticky note stood the test of time. Interesting stuff. All right, so moving on to the next week. As you see, the dates have changed. We're now at September 2nd. So there we go. So we're getting started around there at our warm-up a little later. I think I accounted for being full pads and getting the kids dressed a little later, but they got better at that. Warm-up, tackling, because when you put on pads, you start tackling becomes different, so you got to make sure you do that. I'm pretty embarrassed that Oklahoma drill's on there, to be honest. I really don't care for the Oklahoma drill, but I've changed my ways. I really don't run crap like that anymore. I think it's stupid. I think it's how you get kids hurt. Just personally, I mean, I think there's safer ways you can do drills like Oklahoma, but other than that, it's just for show. So I really don't care. So if you like Oklahoma, good for you, but I hope your players don't get hurt because that's on you. Water break, offensive skill, defensive skill, team offense. Okay, so we're actually running plays versus bodies. Plays to install. Here we go. So Bobcat 13 blast. Wow. Okay. Really don't know. Like, I know we were in like a Power Eye set when we put in Bobcat for that, and then we did Pistol Diamond, halfback wheel. I don't know. Like, okay, and then here we go. Here's some different stuff. Then we got the water break. We did team defense till the end of practice. Address. Check this out. Respect of teachers. I think we were having teacher problems with some of the kids not respecting the teachers, I would assume. I really don't remember that, but it was obviously something that needed to be talked about. Let's see. Full pads tomorrow, and then they were back on Thursday. Or black on Thursday? I don't know. Maybe that means like, or maybe that was, I know what it was. They had different colored jerseys. So we were getting them to do that. The next day, players arrive, still in full pads. And I feel like we probably did a half pads day. In there, I don't know if I don't think we went straight from helmets to full. I really don't think we did that, so I think one of those days is messed up, but ready to go, getting that start. And so what I like here is that we kind of broke up and we were doing different things. So 335, fifth grade offense. We were working specifically, just working on those fifth graders. The sixth grade, they were our good. They were just better players because they were sixth grade, obviously. So we gave some love to the fifth grade offense. Let those guys get reps because there were some good players in there. Water, defensive skill. There's the groups, and scrimmage. Okay, so here's actually this day. So the next day, going half pads. Quarterback skill, throwing and catching. O-line was working on pass pro. Offensive, basically your individual. Sixth grade defense. And I think what we're doing here is that we were looking at, our game was coming up. And so we were looking at, aligning to certain offenses, which, going back, and I think this is more or less just getting the defense lined up. We looked at, single set, with ace. I guess that, that's just like, like what personnel would that be? That'd be like 12 personnel, just stuff that's interesting. I formation, gun, getting lined up to different things. Line up to swinging gates and Maverick. All right, that's funny. But yeah, I think this day was more just like getting ready for the game because I think we played on the 5th. Like we probably played like senior high football, like high school on the 5th, and then our game was the 6th. So that's really it. I can vaguely remember back to the first little scrimmage because all we were doing was preparing for a scrimmage, but like we're doing that right now. I mean, we've got a scrimmage in 8 days. So like I'm working on getting that stuff all figured out, but like it's just like real simple stuff. We didn't have my main goal with that whole thing was just getting the players to know how to play the game. As you can see, we had a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 practices before our first game. So it goes to show you, you can do it. Like you can get stuff done, and that's about like how it's actually going to work this year for us. So it's kind of funny how you plan on this kind of stuff, but it's something simple. My practice plans aren't that fancy. I've done fancy ones before, but this is literally the year that I felt like I did really well because these go into October, basically going up to the very last practice we had. So anyway, yeah, that's my practice, 6 days, and for what it was is like we went to that little scrimmage game. We played two games, and we went home, and I mean we had a good time. I mean nothing really tragic happened. We got kids playing, and that's how you do it. It's what it's all about. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This has been a video I've been wanting to make for a while, so just to talk about this kind of stuff. I had it on my list for a long time. But sometime in the future, we'll go through and go through maybe the whole year. It might be just one of those videos that, you guys will just watch because, I mean, it's Mr. Football content. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anybody really want it. I mean, I guess I'll say this. If you want to see this whole thing, let me know, and we'll do a video on it. It just may not be anytime in the future, like here before football season. But it'll be something I can do kind of in the off season and do a whole video on this. But I mean, it's a whole year. I mean, it goes all the way back into late, basically all the way till November. So yeah, that's it. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video and staying all the way to the end. If you did, you get a thumbs up from me. And I definitely appreciate you guys watching this stuff all the way to the end. Very much appreciated. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Make sure to check out the social media links down in the description of the video to connect with me, and leave a comment on what you thought about my practice plans back then. I know it's different. It's just, I was a young coach back then. I was 22 years old. Didn't know a dang thing about how to coach the game, but you gotta make mistakes to learn. So that's what I did. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm Mr. Football. We'll see you next time.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.